Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Action and Inertia, a research podcast where every episode we invite our guests to share their unique and valuable perspectives on human behavior in response to change. I am your host, Kimberly Logan, and today I am so happy and honored to have Rachel with us. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm going to ask you to start off by just introducing yourself to everyone.
Mhm.
Let us know who you are, what your passions are, and where your subject matter expertise lies.
Okay, so I am Rachel. My passion, I would say, is in sort of theatre more than anything else. The arts, I guess. I trained as an actress, so that has always been my passion to tell stories more than anything else, and to connect with people on a creative level. So that would be my passion. And my expertise, yeah, theatre. I'm a teacher now, so education as well. So I'm a drama teacher, so I would definitely say education is my expertise. I've been doing that for, God, who knows, over a decade, I'd say.
Awesome.
Or more. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So happy to have you here. Thank you for being
Yeah,
on.
thanks.
Just to reiterate for everybody, the goals of the podcast are twofold. First, to inspire at least one person to actively lean into change. And second, to create a database of these conversations around transformation and managing change that folks can use as they themselves are training for change. So, without further ado, Rachel, we'll just
Yeah.
jump right into question number one, which
Okay.
is in the face of change, what motivates a person to action and or inertia?
I think it's all contextual, really. It depends on what that situation is that's forcing them to change. If it's something within your own control or if it's something outside of your own control. So is it happening to you or are you doing it to yourself? And I think that definition between the two is quite important in how we react and how we move forward, or if we don't, or if we just decide no, I can't deal with this, I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna make any decision whatsoever. I think from my own experiences, if it is my own decision, I'm sort of slow on taking any action. I have to really think it through and weigh up the pros and cons, and is this the right decision that I'm making, or is there going to be a different decision and I'm going to do this one and then realize I should have done that one. But then if it is something happening to you, that a situation that you've never anticipated but you're forced to take action, I think it's a lot different, and it depends on whether you need to take action right now or if you can stall the action and wait further on down the line to make a decision. So yeah, I do think it's all based on context, isn't it? It depends on what the situation is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Sometimes I always say like, um, we're human and we're complex and life is complex. And
Yeah.
I think it's really not a black and white thing and more of a spectrum. And sometimes you can start on one end and end on the next. And I think it can go either way.
Yeah.
Or you can kind of just like, move around on it.
Yeah.
And you end up where you need to be. So yeah, I love that. Thank you. So the leading into the next question then, which is which choice, action or inertia, is more beneficial to holistic wellness? Like when you're looking at your the system of like yourself and your life in totality.
It's a good question. I've been pondering this question for a while actually. I've been thinking about it. And I think again it comes down to one, the circumstance, and two, your own temperament. Like what is your temperament?
Mm-hmm.
Are you someone that can pick yourself up really quickly when something drastic happens and move on and formulate a plan? Or are you somebody that if you get knocked down once, you just stay down and you can't get back up again? Because that is going to inform how you deal with crisis or how you deal with change. I'm not a person that actively likes change. However, I somehow seem to find myself in the midst of it all the time. But it is about, again, I plan and go, okay, I have to make this big decision. I have to do something about it. And if I stay where I am, so if I am inert and I don't move on this, what will happen? And
Right.
is it a comfortable place to be in? You know, like I know a lot of people's comfort zones is inertia. Yeah, exactly. You
Because
might just
sometimes comfortable is unhealthy, and
oh, yeah,
and sometimes the vice versa, like you said, depending on context, right? Like
yeah,
sometimes, yeah, you kind of there's a lot of discernment, and I think like you have to really be honest with yourself, at least yourself, even if you're not really.
that's it, isn't it? You could go, oh, I'm not making this decision because it's out of my hands. It's not my fault. I can't do it. Is it true, or are you afraid of making the wrong choice?
Right.
You know, I think there's a lot of that doesn't sit well with people. Like they know they need to make a decision, they know they need to change something, but it feels too big. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it feels so overwhelming, and you think, oh, I'm just not going to do anything about it. But
Yeah.
then that, like you said, for the holistic wellness, that just makes everything worse. You
Yeah.
know, it doubles the stress in your body. It affects the way you sleep, the way you eat, all of these things. If you're constantly ruminating on a choice that you can't make,
Right.
it's going to affect you.
Right.
You
Right. Right.
know.
Yeah. That's such a strong point. And I hope that as people like kind of listen to these conversations, I think at the end of the day, like we're talking about change, and like you kind of mentioned before, no, we can't stop it.
No,
You know what I mean? Like it's whether you
no.
love it or hate it, it's happening, right? And I think for me, I really hope that through this process, I personally, and then everyone that comes into contact with this, can be empowered to like tap into like small, consistent,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
towards change, because I think that's such
yeah.
a key thing, especially in like today's day and age.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think like a lot of our social interaction is like very like masculine energy, like boss up,
Mm,
like just
yeah,
do
yeah.
it,
Keep moving, keep
right?
working,
And
burn yourself out. It's
yeah,
not. It's not sustainable.
it's not. And I think that is not doesn't lend itself to holistic wellness,
No.
because I in my experience and as I observe, a lot of us are just really overwhelmed because this stuff is important and it is big
Mm.
and it is complex. Um, and there's a lot of advice to boss up, but not a whole bunch of direct instructions on how to
Yeah,
do that, right? So it's
that's it, isn't it? That's the thing. I think what this pandemic should have taught us more than anything else is that we need to pause a lot of the time and reflect on the decisions that we are making and whether they are the good decisions for us, or as you said, are we being pressured by what we see on social media and what we hear in the news to go, or I need to do something. I need to make lots of money. I need to
right.
monetize my hobbies. I need to push forward.
Oh,
Yeah, and you're just like, no, no, maybe I don't need to. Maybe I should just
I want your
enjoy my lunch without taking a picture of it and putting it on Instagram. I don't have to, you
yeah,
know? And I think we should learn how to pause and rest, because that is just as important as making decisive changes in our life. If we take that time to really reflect, honestly reflect on what we need. um it's great, like, if you keep making decisions, but if you keep pushing forward without a clear idea of where you're trying to go, you're gonna burn out. Two, you're gonna end up in a place that you don't really want to be in the first place. And three, you're just gonna be dissatisfied. You'll get to like 17, be like, what did I do with my life?
yep, yep, yep,
You
yep.
know.
Yeah, that's so important. I agree with that. Yeah, because I think that in that space of rest that you're describing is where we can reconnect with like our connectivity and like our humanity and like our power and
Yeah,
like all those also alternate energies that are helpful in managing
Yeah.
to beyond the just like grind, I'm here for
Yeah.
grind and grit. Don't get me wrong.
We have to make money somehow. Yeah.
Support it. Money is a fantastic resource. It's nice to be comfortable. I fully agree with I
Yeah.
guess finding balance.
That's it. Yeah.
Just going and pausing, right? Like action and inertia, like how you kind of balance that relationship for yourself.
Yeah, and some situations may call for inertia. Some situations may call for you not to do anything. It might make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. Are you actively positioning yourself in a change that you don't need to be in?
Right.
Or are you pushing for it because you think you're owed it, or you think you have to do this? It might not be for you,
Yeah. Yeah. Or you might just with patience, not one of my virtues, but something I try. With patience, sometimes it's just information or opportunity.
Yeah.
And sometimes inertia can lend itself to just creating space to find more of that,
Yeah.
which I think going back to wellness, and sometimes that's what you need is to just pause and wait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just kind of let things be.
Mm-hmm.
And again, back to the balance, because you don't want to get lost in that sauce, but it can be healthy and necessary.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So last question, just kind of rolling right into it. What are some traits, and I think we started to kind of, so what are some traits that exist in folks who consistently choose action from your experience or what you observe?
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to that leading to burnout in why are you constantly choosing change? Is it necessary? And I think the thing about temperament and personality traits, it is quite, I think, what they call it, the A type personalities, that sort of dominant, very focused individuals. And yes, you can be dominant and focused and inert at the same time. You could have that as a part of you, but it goes back again to why are we making this change? What is it for, and is it necessary? And if you keep striving, you keep pushing forward, you will burn out. If you don't take that time to pause and rest, you will come to the end of it, and what we have left. I think becoming a mum has taught me that quite quite drastically, that pause and wait, because I want to do everything for her and go, okay, I'll just do it quicker, it's fine, I'll get it done, we need to leave the house, let's just go. But then I have to go, you got to just wait, because she's learning and she's doing it at her own pace, and that is for me to inwardly die, but at the same time go, I'm pausing and I'm waiting. Not because I'm just bored of her and go, okay, yeah, take your time, do whatever you want. But if I, again, meddle in what she's doing, I am forcing a change in her to go, oh, well, I can't do it. Mummy's going to do it all the time.
Right.
So I'm getting in her way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You're empowering her with space, rest, and time.
Even though for me, it's killing me inside, because it's taking so long. Yes, you're taking 10 minutes to put on your socks. At the same time, if we keep pushing, and I've seen this throughout the pandemic, of people going, we just need to get here. And as a teacher, I was on mat leave towards the end of the first pandemic, the first lockdown, but we were forced as teachers to create these packets of work out of nothing for people or students that have now gone home. And that level of work was intense. It was really, really intense. And I was so thankful that I was then on mat leave afterwards, because I know in myself, if that we kept going at that level, I'd have nothing left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so important too, because I think we talk about action and inertia, and I guess I just want to pause and say, for me, there's a big distinction between rest and inertia, because I agree with you. I do think that one of the traits of people who consistently are, successful at managing change and choosing action is that they understand their limits and they do rest, because you reboot, and so you're able to like find success, or find a plan, or find, what is the truth for you, or right. So I think it's
Yeah.
an important part of action that can kind of get lost in a conversation about action and inertia if you begin to like blur that distinction between like rest and inertia. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Because obviously not making a change, not making a decision, actively avoiding making a decision is harmful to yourself as well,
Yeah.
because you're not taking control of your own life, as much control as we can have as human beings. You're not taking control of that.
Yeah.
And if you're letting other people decide, then do you know who you are in this? And if those people were taken away, what would happen to you?
Yeah. 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 And there's so
You
much of
know?
that. Yeah, I don't know. Social media is on my mind today, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's so important. I love that point. Yeah, I love that. I love that because it really is so important to be tethered to something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, I guess, like in a sense, through our conversation, I think there's a theme of like intention, right? Because I know you talked a little about the context, and I fully agree with that. And it's like, I think even when you talk about wellness, either or, depends on the context, like you said, but is it intentional, or
Mm.
just kind of like, getting caught up in the tornado of life and landing,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so I think that's so important.
Well, yeah, that goes, I think it all ties, like you said, it all ties into one, doesn't it? If you're looking again at the traits of people that consistently choose action, I guess it is about knowing when to rest, and it is about knowing when to make the decision and when not to. But I think it's also, you have to understand, one, your long-term plan. I like a good long-term plan. And two, who you are within that, and what I will be wary of are people that barrel headfirst into it without having a thought, or thinking about, one, the consequences of their actions, and two, how that change is going to affect not just themselves but the people in their immediate circle.
Right, right, right.
So that is the difference that I'm looking at as well, going, okay, you're constantly making this change. Why?
Yeah.
What for?
And
Is it helpful?
yeah, that's such a good point too, because it is never just yourself. We're all a part of a larger community of other people, like however that's made up,
Yeah.
and maybe this is a whole nother podcast, but it's really like, I think maybe not always at the forefront when we talk about the kind of like fear of that can affect taking action, and that can kind of keep people in an inert state.
Yeah.
And how much of that is due to consciously or subconsciously understanding that like, this is not just about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
There's a lot of surface decisions that seem like very like, oh, like I just have to do this and I just have to make a lot of money and da 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 da. But we're a community. Like, whether, there's nothing we can do about that. We're connected, we're all together, and all of our choices affect,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. They do, don't they? And if it goes, I'm going to keep talking about social media, aren't we? It goes back to that idea of social media, doesn't it? Because that well, I made this brilliant change for myself, doesn't matter who got affected because of it. And you see all these lovely, glorious, glamorous shots of people doing their lives and like living their best lives, but then what else is in the background? What's happened? Who's been affected by it? Not that you can go around living your life by going, oh God, my actions and my decisions are going to affect everybody, so I'm not going to make one.
Right.
That's when you become inert, isn't it? That's when you stop thinking about making a decision because it's overwhelming, and you're worried about your consequences impacting everybody.
Yeah.
It's just a balancing act, isn't it?
Exactly. I was just literally, you're talking about, I was thinking balance. I'm like, yeah, I guess it is all balance. We're just trying to figure out how to keep it all in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rachel. This has been such a wonderful conversation.
I enjoyed it. It's very intriguing to think about. Like, it makes you reflect on your own process, your own decision-making process.
Yes, I love that. And that's what I hope. And I really just, it's one of those things where as a part of coming to this podcast or creating the podcast, I was like, we're all doing this.
Yeah.
Like, nobody talks about this. Like, I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm kind of a nerd. So about, I'm like, but, who else is, I was really just curious. Like, who else is thinking about this? And what do they think?
Yeah.
People, how are people like working with this? Because I was having a conversation.
I think a lot of it is just either you go with your gut and you think, what is my gut telling me? And, I'm going to run with that, or you just shoot in the dark and hope that you've made the right decision. Or you talk to the people around you and go, what do you think? What do you think?
Which could be good or bad, depending on the people around you.
You're asking, isn't it?
The conversation is balance, right? Like find the balance.
Yeah, find the balance. I think that's going to be the mantra for me from now on. Find the balance. Where is the balance?
Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming on and talking to us. Thanks again, everybody else, for being here. If you like the show and would like to support this research, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, share the podcast with your friends, and hit us up at actioninertia@gmail.com if you or anybody else would like to be a guest on the show. All right, that is it. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Bye.